All right, hello everybody. I just wanted to take another shot at rebuilding this half of a binocular, and I got this file from James, and he had been running into some issues capping some of the open ends on this set of surface, and I took a run at it myself and couldn't pull it off. In fact, this thing kind of unraveled into a fairly complex sort of problem or set of problems that I couldn't find a solution to. Things like this little gap down here at the bottom. Things like the fact that this edge just cannot seem to get capped at all. And the more I would trim away at it, sort of the worse the problem would get. I spent a good number of hours trying and retrying again before I finally felt like it was just time to start over. So that's what I'm going to do in this video. And so we'll get into it, okay? All right, so first thing I'm going to do when I want to start over on a file that is pretty far along like this one is I'm just going to go and save as, and I'm going to give it a new name. You can see here I've got a couple of different files, so I'm just going to call this JDZ. I'm going to call it Bono's Fix Up. R1, there we go, perfect. I'm going to save this onto my desktop. And that's it. In some of my rebuilds, I had absolutely terrible problems coming up. I really can't explain what was happening, but I seemed to be having computer glitches. I had portions of the model that were disappearing or showing up as transparent when they shouldn't be. I had strange artifacts jumping up throughout the build, and I really just couldn't seem to get a handle on the thing at all. And when you get into that scenario, I am so sorry to say, but as I mentioned in class, starting from scratch with a brand new file is a good plan. So here's a good example. Now this was late at the night last night. I was working away on this very same file. I got everything to work, but the underside of the model just went transparent in this odd sort of way, and I started taking screenshots to show off to the class. So that's what you see here. And as far as an explanation on what's happening in this photo, I don't have one. So all I can tell you is that that is wrong, and when things go that way for a CAD model, you're likely dealing with issues that are unsolvable. So starting over will take less time than trying to fix unsolvable problems. So I'm going to just select the entire design tree here, all the way up until the first surface revolve. I'm going to right click and I'm going to go delete. The confirm delete button pops up. I'm going to say delete absorbed features and yes to all. That's going to take away the entire project except for this curve here, which I'm also going to delete. We want fresh everything. We're going to have our center line. We'll keep that. It looks like the center line might need a little work though. There's it looks like it's got a dimension on it, nice. But it's also got this, which is a driven dimension, which you can just select and delete. We've got our image if we want to take a look at that. That's working. Good. Yep. It's working, but okay. Yeah, it's working. Perfect. And then we've got this surface revolve. So as I taught this in class and in tutorials after class, I kept attempting to split the model in half and do kind of an upper and a lower section. And through the trials and tribulations of trying to recreate the success I had with that technique, I kind of came up against the idea that maybe that wasn't the best idea after all. And so in this new build, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take the surface revolve. I'm going to spin it around 360. Okay, so that's that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on the image so we can trace over that. We'll be working on our front plane mostly in this video. I'm going to grab a spline. I am going to strike a line which will follow along with this first disappearing edge. I'll set it to horizontal. Pull this down. You need to be very gentle with this curve. Make it as clean as possible and absolutely make sure that it is attached to the center line. You can click on that endpoint to see the coincident relation holding it there. Okay, that's that. Next, we're going to, in this same sketch, we're going to take another spline, again, attached to the center line, and another big tip, in line with this point up here. I came up against so many different issues trying to fix these files in my attempts that I've sort of built a set of ground rules. And one of them is making sure that this point and this point are perfectly in line with each other. So I'm going to continue on with this set of line work here. I'm going to grab another curve, and I'm going to connect the ends. Just pillow this out a little bit. Okay, and then I'm going to take a straight line, and I'm going to enclose the form so that I have a fully enclosed shape, and it'll turn dark gray when it's closed up. Okay, so that's that. Turn off the image. Turn on shading. Now from here, we know what's coming, right? We're going to try to build a boundary surface across this panel. And we know we want to attach that boundary surface to a split edge that starts here and goes over. So let's set up the curves for that. So I'm going to go to the front plane again, right click, start a sketch, take a straight line this time. I'm going to attach a straight line right here. I'm going to fold that line outside the model and up until it's in line with this point. I'm going to attach it to the other end of that previous set of curves, and I'm going to take this curve here and I'm going to duplicate it using convert entities into this new set of sketches. It'll turn dark gray, of course, when it's added to the sketch and when it is fully enclosed. And from here, what I'll do is split the surface using this set of line work. Let me just, in order to keep myself clear, hide the previous sketches so you can see what we're working with here. Direct editing, split. Trim tool is this set of curves, cut part. You should get two bodies. Keep them both. And you can hide this curve now. Okay, there is our split line, and we're good. The next move is going to be to make some new planes. Let's go into 3D mode. I'm going to make a plane in a different way than I have before, where I'm going to go to Reference Geometry under the Features tab, and I am going to say Plane, New Plane. Just going to click this edge, and it will automatically flatten the plane against that flat edge. Perfect. I'll do that again. Click Plane, and another flat edge. This one's busted, so start that over. There you go. All right. So we now have the planes that we need to work with. I'm going to go ahead and hide my center line again, just because this model has had me quite frustrated, guys. I was really stuck on a fence for a long time, so I'm trying to really clear the workspace. You know, when you clean your desk before you got a big homework assignment, same thing. I'm going to go here to plane 1, and I'm going to I guess before I start, I will hide the surface we don't need. I'll go to plane 2, start a sketch, and I'm going to take a curve here, and I'm going to draw these curves in a little bit of a different way. I'm just going to randomly strike a line out in space, not touching anything. I'm going to take one end of that curve, hold down Control, and I'm going to click this long edge here. When I click that edge, I get this pop-up, and I'm going to say Make Pierce. So Make Pierce is just one additional step of geometry that will make for a better connection between this line and this surface. This line here, I think it's already done it. Let's look at it, normal 2. We want to make sure that this point here is in line with the origin. Let's leave it straight until we don't have to. So I'm going to click the main part of this curve here, and then I'm going to click this arc here, and I'm going to say Make Tangent. Now previously in class I had said Make Curvature, but unfortunately we had too many issues with curvature, and I've changed my tune. I'm going to go Make Tangent, click normal 2. This side, just pull this up and flatten it out, and make it a really smooth, sort of almost flat arc here. With the tangent setting on this edge of the curve, you should have the ability to flex this curve a little bit more, because the tangency blend is a less intense blend, and so it gives you a little bit more flexibility in the curve, which is nice. Okay, we'll do the same thing on the front. We're going to go, I said the front, but this plane here, we'll go Sketch, and I'm going to draw a spline. This time I'll line it up with the origin, just like that. I'm going to look at it, normal 2 again. It's an odd way to look normal 2. This style of building is much better achieved with the spacebar and the view cube. Yes. So, for instance, this thing here goes above this curve. If you look at it from sort of this direction here. So we're going to take this curve here, bend it kind of into position, take this side of the curve, bend it into position. Now this isn't locked in place, but we can do that. We can lock it in place by just selecting that point, coming down here, selecting the origin. We'll put a vertical condition, hold those two things in line with each other. So this is looking way too intense here. We don't want this giant bulge, so we'll drop this curve down and drop this one down a little bit as well. I'm going to take this curve now and select the main portion of the curve, hold down Control with my pinky finger, click this edge here and say Make Tangent. You see how that adjustment that was made was minimal. It was just a little snap into position, and it's adjustable too. We want friendly curves here, so we want attractive curves that aren't too intense. So that's good. We'll exit. Let's take this curve now and let's bring this one actually down a little bit. When I say friendly and attractive curves, I mean smooth and not jagged or rippled or anything like that. We want easy going. Closer, but still needs to drop down a little bit more. Okay, about like that. Now we'll go right plane. I'm going to look at this from the side view here. Nope, and it's going to be actually, we're going to set a vertical constraint on the side view sketch here, not horizontal. And I'm really finding with SolidWorks 2020, you really need to bend the arc. You need to bend the handle of the curve to get the opportunity to add a condition to that handle. Okay, just as before, we'll do an extruded surface off of this edge, off this thing here. Okay. And we will do a boundary surface that goes here to here, and then top to bottom. We should get a flag for each edge, and we want to set this edge to tangency now. Set it to tangency. This edge can go tangency as well. Okay, we can do a little double check, curvature on, and edit this a little bit. Maybe put the tangent influence slider right here in the center. Not exactly the best blend under the curvature analysis, but the zebra stripes look like they are extremely clean. So we'll be happy with that and go with the stripes. We'll hide the construction surface. And that's step 1. So we'll follow along with step 2. Right click on plane 2, make a spline. Again, we're going to add the pierce condition to this edge. We'll look at this normal too with the spacebar. Line this up with the origin, and I've been putting a dimension of about 5 on there. This curve is the problem curve. This bottom front edge seems to be where all the drama comes from on this build. So we're going to set this thing up to be as massaged as possible, but we're going to be aware that it's a problem curve and we might need to come back to it at a different point. So I'll click the main part of the curve, and I'll click this edge here with Control held down, set tangent. And you saw that very subtle little maneuver there. Okay, same on the back end. Right click. Just going to set up again with a pierce command on the edge. will look normal too. I'm going to set this also to 5 millimeters away. We can just snap it right in line with the bottom piece there, or with the front curve. I'm gonna do my best to make this a really smooth curve. I'm gonna way overshoot this arc like this and then put the horizontal relation on. There you go, like that. And down here, click the main part of the curve, hold down Control, click, and make tangent. Small adjustment. Okay, right plane, make a sketch. This time I'll grab the straight line tool. One, two. We'll do an extruded surface with that line. And we'll create the boundary surface. One, two, up. That's a flipped contour. Let's right click on the second edge and say flip connector. Go direction 2, top and bottom. And set your flags to be tangency here and tangency here. The other two leave the same. We'll hide the construction surface. And we're good. So I'm going to do a save at this point. I'm going to hide these planes. And I'm going to bring back this portion of the surfaces. Now we can start to see the overlap between the two surfaces, the main barrel and the new boundary surface that we made. We want to minimize that as much as possible. You see on the top, it's pretty minimal. It only really overlaps right at the edge. At the bottom, there's a large overlap. So what it means is that we need to billow out this surface a little bit more so that it's not fully diving onto the inside of the main barrel. So, as promised, we go back to the boundary surface and edit it. Look at this from the front view. This is the reason for the tangency setting instead of curvature continuity at this edge, is because it gives you the ability to wiggle this curve around with more ease. So you want to be able to really check this thing and kind of, you're watching the gap between the main barrel and this new curve, trying to remember that this curve drives a surface that should not overlap with the barrel very much. That's less, see? That's less. I'm going to go with that for now. You hear me taking a deep breath. I mean, this is nerve-wracking. I've spent a fair amount of time fighting this. So, okay. We're going to take it to the bank now. We're going to do the trim. We've got this curve, set of curves here for the trim operation. So it's going to be trim surface. Here it is, sketch 5 will be our trim tool. And we're going to remove all these edges one by one. All 4 of those. Delete. Okay, good, good. And now we're going to dive back in and isolate just this and this. Okay. Put our exit button where we can find it. And the plan here is going to be to build a set of boundary surfaces on either side, as I've shown, but with lessons learned. Here's the lesson. Go to the right plane, make our sketch. Grab my spline tool. The arc that we put in this line needs to be subtle. Okay? It can't be drastic. In class and in my previous videos, I talked about the brow and how you make it aggressive or not. This is a problem model, which has a lot of trouble working correctly. So you want something, again, smooth and, attractive and doesn't seem intense. So about like that. Okay, now the other thing here is that this curved line will flow along these two channels to meet up with another line here. You need this line here to be straight. So we can go back to our planes. We've got a plane here, plane number 2. We can draw in plane 2. And we can draw with a straight line. What we're looking to do here, this is a key moment, is we want the surface that's created in this cavity here to definitely bend as it's in the center. But as it flows from here into the rest of the surfaces that we've got, we want it to begin to flatten out, and then we want it to land super flat here at this end. So let's do the boundary surface. It's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. On this side, we can put normal to profile. Other than that, that's job done. And it looks like we've achieved what we wanted. We've got a bend in one side and a flat on the other. Do the same on this side. Right plane, sketch, spline. Normal 2. And then with a subtle arc. We're going to connect to these 2 points right here and here with a straight line. We should have plane number 1 to do that job with. So we'll right click, make a sketch on plane 1, grab the straight line tool, click, and click. Good, exit that sketch. Grab your boundary surface. We'll go left, right, top, bottom. If you feel good about yourself, you can put this at normal to profile. It doesn't like that, so you know what? I'm gonna listen to it. It should work, but hey. Everything else is good, so we'll leave it. All right, so good. Let's turn everything else back on now. Very good. So now, we can, as usual, turn off some of the other surfaces we don't need to adjust. So that one can go away, and we're just going to work on these 2 surfaces, or these 4 or 5 surfaces now. As before, we're going to go direct editing, split. We'll use this back surface here. Oh, see that glitch? There's a glitch. Didn't fully engage there until I wiggled the mouse. Oof. That's going to be the split surface. And we're going to go to selected bodies to do this split. We're going to select just this body here. Okay. Cut bodies. And it will give you 2 bodies. Take them both. Good. All right. We'll continue to hide the stuff we're not going to be working on. So now our next move is to take this surface here and trim away the interior. Surfaces, trim surface. Take this as the cutting object. Remove this. Okay, good. Turn everything else back on now. Turn this back on at least. Now what we'll do is trim again. Trim surface. This time we're using this as the cutting tool in order to remove this section of that boundary surface. And it should go away clean. Next move will be to trim surface with this tool. This surface is the trim tool. We want to remove this interior piece here. Okay. Turn on the rest of our surfaces here. Just this back one is left. And so we are all good. What we can do next is we can use planar surface to cap these open holes. For this one here, there are very small little sections of the model. Look at this one. Very small. That are so easy to miss. What we'll do is box select this whole end. And if it's flat, a box select works for planar surface. Here's another example. This open edge here is flat. And if we box select it, it will close itself up. Okay, so this is now a watertight set of surfaces. The next move is to solidify it into a solid using knit surface. Grab knit surface, box select the entire set of surfaces, give it a spin just to confirm you got everything, and hit create solid. That's working. All's well. Double check your design tree to make sure you have one folder that says solid bodies, and in that is the entire body. So we're still not out of the woods yet. We've got to get the fillets on there. But having a solid is a little bit easier for SolidWorks to understand, so set our fillet to 1. Turn off tangent propagation. Turn on partial preview, or let's keep it on full preview. I'm feeling confident, finally. Might have to play around with this number a little bit. And here's what we're looking for. Now, when SolidWorks is especially in a bad mood, it might do this to you, where it only gives you a portion of the preview. Let's go full preview. There you go. So this is a small little corner that ends at a degenerate point, so you're not going to be able to get a very big fillet on that edge in there, but I played around with everything from 0.95, 0.9, 0.8 seemed to work every time, so we're going to do that. From there, I'm going to say fillet again. I'm going to add a 1 millimeter fillet this time to the top and bottom. Do this side next. Fillet. Again, we'll set it to 0.8 for safety. And if it works right away, let's try for 1. Okay. One more fillet on the top and bottom edge. And we're all set. Just to take this one step further, I'm going to go back to these fillets and see if I can get them all set at curvature continuity. Looks like yes. Let's just go down the ring. This setting just takes the SolidWorks look away from your fillets. So really nerdy CAD people will look at your stuff and go, "You make that in SolidWorks? I can tell from the fillets." And if you set these to curvature continuous, then sometimes you can avoid that. And when I say some people, I mean myself. I'm the guy who says that to people. And there you go. There's your win. Okay? So, I'm going to save my work. We now have a completely solid model. With a disappearing edge. And some pretty good zebra stripes across the broken edge. You can see them there flowing pretty well. And so that's that. Start from scratch. And in class today, we'll be hopefully starting from this point and detailing out this model. So thanks a lot for watching, and have a good one.